980, something of the order of £300 to £400 million a year will flow net out of Britain for that reason alone. That is to say, our net contribution to the community's budget. I do not think that's in the interest of Britain. Nor do I think it's the interest of Britain that money and firms should be free to move there either. And if anyone doubts the gravity of that, I'll give them one illustration. In the 3-year period, 71, 2 and 3, Mr. Barber, you may remember him, allowed relatively free movement of money out of Britain to Europe. £1,000 million of British capital went into direct investment in plants, machinery, jobs on the European continent. And there came back £170 million at the same time. And when you think that in terms of numbers and prosperity there are 55 million of us and 200 million of them, is it not an extraordinary disproportion that that should be so? And can you not see the danger, the gravity of what that means for the future prosperity of this country, this generation, and those to come? And I say to you, this is not a treaty which in any way is a fair and equal treaty. It's not negotiated, it was accepted. Not one word, not a comma, let alone a clause, let alone a paragraph of their own treaty. Not one comma has been altered in order to meet the perfectly legitimate and serious differences that exist between Britain and the common market. And now the experience itself, 3.5 years ago, when they were urging us to go in, oh, what a campaign it was. You've got to get in to get on, was the slogan of that day. £5 or £6 a week better off for Britain if we can only get into the common market. All the goodies were spread out, and Donald Stokes of Leyland buying one-page advertisements saying, all we need is a great domestic market of 250 million, and we will sweep Europe. And you know what has happened, and this is the one significance of the trade figure. I'm not arguing who cares about the actual details of the size. That doesn't matter, it's the trend. The trend. 3 years ago, 4 years ago, we were almost in balance with the common market countries. What's happened since? 500 million down in 72, 1,000 million in 73, 2,000 million in 74, running now at the rate of 2,400 million this year. Don't you see what that's going to do to the prosperity of this country? You can't go on borrowing that. And then you add to that the burdens I mentioned a moment ago, and we are under great threat. We're in peril at the present time, and the country must know it. And therefore now what do they say? What is the message that comes now? No longer to tell the British people about the goodies that lie there. No longer that. That won't wash, will it? Because the evidence will no longer support it. And so the message that comes out is fear, fear, fear. Fear because you won't have any food. Fear of unemployment. Fear that we've somehow been so reduced as a country that we can no longer, as it were, totter about in the world, independent as a nation. And a constant attrition of our morale, a constant attempt to tell us that what we have, and what we have is not only our own achievement, but what generations of Englishmen have helped us to achieve, is not worth a damn. The kind of laughter that greeted the early references that I made, that what was involved was the transfer of the whole of our democratic system to others. Not a damn. Well, I tell you, what we now have to face in Britain, what the whole argument is about, now that the fraud and the promise has been exposed, what it's about is basically the morale and the self-confidence of our people. We can shape our future. We are 55 million people. If you look around the world today, I listen to Gough Whitlam and his 14 million Australians, and he trades heavily with Japan. I'm very fond of the Australians. But do you think he's going to enter into a relationship with Japan which gives Japan the right to make the laws in Australia? Do you think Canada, 22 million of them, and to the south a great and friendly nation? Yes, they are. But do you think Canada is going to allow its laws to be written by the 200 million people in some union in America? No, no, of course not. The whole thing is an absurdity, and therefore I urge you to reject it. I urge you to say no to this motion, and I urge the whole British country to say no on Thursday in the referendum.